I'm lucky and alone, it doesn't make me lonely. I just have more fun when I am the only, when I am the one, when I'm the only one in the room, smoke in the room. Oh, you may come and join me in my secret space. We smoke the finest kind, we clear, calm our minds. We have no sense of time, we practice love and kindness. Need no telephones, no, no.
My name is Amma van Danzig, and I have to say it's a great pleasure to be here with all of you today on Ascension Day, because who is ascending today? We are. Africa is ascending. Yes. We are celebrating Africa, and we are so excited because how are we doing this? We are doing this in a collaborative way. This is AFRICADELIC working together with OMEK. We can work together. Africans work together. We are rising because we're working together, and we're so excited. Please be excited with us if you're not African, because it's exciting for all of us. And tonight is going to be very exciting because we're continuing with the celebration. We are celebrating Professor Gloria Wekker. Yes, please be better than that. There will be a panel discussion that is moderated by Shimira. She will introduce the panel. So I hope you're excited about the evening, about our evening together. Yes, thank you very much. And for now, I will just let you enjoy the film, which is a celebration of Africa Day. Enjoy the movie.
My message in my work is always about building alternative futures that are like, that fits us more naturally than the future that is in front of us right now.
I'm a retired professor, I'm a writer, and I'm an activist. White Innocence talks about race in the Netherlands, and especially about whiteness. What does it mean to be white here? As I was writing that book, I was very aware that most people will think, what nonsense this is. We don't do race in the Netherlands. We are colorblind, race doesn't matter. There is no kind of equitable representation of black people in the academy. So this was the first book on whiteness in the Netherlands. So it's about healing, it's about knowledge, it's about awareness and unity.
Thank you, Professor.
I think I love
I'm an artist and student, and I'm also with the Mama Barranca Foundation, and I'll be the moderator of today's conversation. I have with me two very, very beautiful friends of mine. Tamara, who's a final year sociology and post-colonial studies student, and Sakarsi, who is a third year literary and cultural analysis student, both at the University of Amsterdam. And I believe we already know Professor Gloria Wekker over here, who will be a part of the conversation. Thank you. Okay. So I know it must have been different for you when you were writing White Innocence, but I can only wonder how was it like having a voice, breaking through such a myth? Like, I'm sure that was, you know, a challenge in itself, where overwhelming.
How do you prepare your questions for Gloria today?
Well, honestly, I feel like the approach for today was very much conversation. We really wanted it to be a safe space where all of us could really freely flow into conversation.
There are a lot of different moments I could point to, but the real point I want to make here with regard to your question is it took me a long time to try to alter that very positive image that we have all been socialized into, that positive image of the Netherlands, that we are so lucky to be here, because here we do not do race, to deconstruct that and to put another image in its place. And that image could be summarized by calling it white innocence. I feel very much part of a generation of women who struggled and did battle with common sense thought in the Netherlands.
I think that especially in the academic space is that my voice becomes oftentimes too heavy for myself, because I'm not just talking about my own perspective anymore, because oftentimes when you're the only black person in the room, you're talking for like a whole community, and all of a sudden I'm representing the perspective of a community with my whole voice, and that just is such a strange experience every time that I get to do that. It's like I have to, but at the same time it's like I'm also just one person, and I relate to, of course, the experiences, especially of other black women, but I cannot speak for the community as like the representative of that. So that's just something very conflicting when I think about how I feel about my voice, especially in the academic space.
And what have you learned today?
Today I have learned that we should create spaces for ourselves where we come together and share our stories, because oftentimes it feels like these little stories and experiences are not very relevant, right? You have to think about the bigger picture, like Black Lives Matter protests and you know, what can we do to change institutional racism, but within that institution there are so many little experiences that I can relate to that actually are comforting to me and remind me of why I want to be in this space, that I'm not alone, even though it feels like that, but we're just scattered all over the place at this moment in time in this context. But yeah, that is what today brought me.
Just remembering that I'm not the only one. Across the world in classrooms there are only black students, and we're all in the same situation, so that's what helps me to, I think, gain power out of knowing that I have a voice.
So has being in the same class with her changed your approach in the course of time?
Like almost instantaneously, like, because I've always had opinions, but I was just like being the only person, because a lot of the times when we discuss things in class, it's from an outsider perspective. So it's like quintessentially being able to add to the subject, but then you're being like, everyone seems to like doesn't want to touch it, and I'm like, but I have something to say. So just seeing Shamira openly share her opinion, I'm like, I can do the same thing. Yeah,
that's great. Okay, I think that is really an important factor, to try to have a group of students or peers around you that you can find support from. That will help you to at least know that you're not crazy, that you're not the only one thinking this or feeling this. That will help a lot. Yes, that has also been very valuable in my life. Yes.
How was it today?
I think it was such a crazy experience. experience, because obviously Gloria Wekker is such an influential person. She's definitely one of the main reasons that I felt comfortable enough to even enter the academic space at that level, because I did HAVO and unique may fail to go to university, so she really made me feel like anything was possible.
Gloria. It's time to set things on track, like trackety track, track place, to get back on track, like track. She is trapped. Mama is awake. She is shaking her. They use her black from left, used her vibration, used her body, used her soul, abused her, abandoned her, used her kings, used her wings to fly high. Mama is awake. We know by who and where it went wrong. So let's just not repeat that song. Let's just do the do dance with Mama Black. Mama is awake, and say kings and queens. Go get your gold back. Go get your land back. Go get your knowledge back. Go get your food back. Get. Go get yourself back. Go get your wisdom back. Go get your all back. Mama is awake. Papa is awake. The kings and queens are awake.
All right, right.
And Gloria Wekker is awake.
All right.
Nature's calling, oh, 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 yeah, oh, oh, oh. I wanna be free with me, live in peace and harmony. If so, then listen to me. Vision is the key, so let's close our eyes to see. We must faithfully believe. See, a tree was once a seed. A mountain will be sand. Now you've got the universe in your hand.
I have a question for Gloria Wekker. Is there a method or strategies that we as black people or colored people all over the world can come together and overcome their traumas or the daily racism that they or have to face? How can we do that? Are there methods for or strategies?
This is a huge question. All black people all over the world, how we can heal our trauma and come together. That is a big ask. I think even a meeting like this is very wonderful, and I don't think that I have an answer to this huge question. I think it's more in little things rather than coming up with one answer that will answer all aspects of this question. I think it's also in daily living that we can try to be of support to each other.
I was born in 1971, and I remember the conversation with my father when I was about 6 years old, where he said, "This is what life is going to be like for you." Taught me how to make a fist, told me about the climate that I faced in London at that time. If you know, men around England in general, women and children couldn't go out by themselves because you'd be chased by skinheads and the rest of it. So basically what he told me was, here's how you make a fist, you hit the biggest one, here's how you keep yourself safe. And I was 6. And he said, basically, as you go through life, you're going to have to work 3 times as hard just to break even, and that's the way it is. There's no such thing as fair, and this is life, right? Speaking of friends of mine who have had young children who have said, I'm not going to tell my kids that. Now I know when I turned 18, I was ready for the world. I have friends of mine who learned all of that stuff at 18, and it drove them nuts. My question would be, given those 2 routes of raising young people in the reality that they're going to face, do you feel as though that's a burden or a help to give them that information, and how might you do it?
Nice one.
It is good to have knowledge about what you're going to encounter so that you are not going to be devastated by racism, or that it will take you by surprise. You will have some bulwark of knowledge that has been transmitted to you, and it shouldn't stop you from doing the things that you want to do and that you feel passionate about.
If I look at, I think you're from England.
Yeah, that's right.
If I look at England and the Netherlands, I can see that in England you have more black people and people of color with a high position or working in the media comparing to the Netherlands. How do you think that is?
It's really, really interesting. My father talks about this a lot. So I went to the United States when I was about 12 from England. And you know, we always had this view of the United States as the land of opportunity, right? Because I think the world, especially England, takes cues from the United States. The United States was the first place to have more black sportscasters, more black anchors, more black on black TV shows. I think England took a cue from that. And I think Netherlands is kind of slowly, very slowly making its way there. But I think it's all very much instituted in the United States, where there is a black voice, where people have demanded, I need to see myself here, and the rest of the world kind of takes cue.
It's following.
Yeah.
And what would you tell young people who also get into design?
Design?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, you know, design, again, is still a very white field, and it's kept that way. And one thing when I'm talking about this that I always try to stress is that it's not an accident that it's a white field. It's a lot like advertising, right? The diversity numbers in advertising haven't changed since the late 60s, right? Because these are decisions being made by people. So I think in terms of design, like the advice that I would give young people who really want to get into design is you have to follow your dreams and try to get around all of the rhetoric that you hear about who it's for. Design is for everyone. And the more stories you have to tell and the more experiences that you have, the more you can do.
The message, I think, for me today is hope. Radical self-love. Radical acceptance of yourself. Black joy. We're not just downtrodden. And from the 16th century forward, we have found the agency to be able to build something when there was nothing. So stand up with pride. Take the space that you already have. Claim that power. And you're beautiful. We see you. I see you. Professor Wekker sees you. We're so proud of you. We're so proud. Yes. You are such Amanda. You know why she refused to be told no. She kept asking and questioning and demanding and gaining access where there was no access. You don't need their approval. You don't need anybody's approval. You are enough. Thank you. Thank you for picking up the mantle of what has been laid before you. Here in this row, there's about 2,000 years of age between us. Don't depend on just yourself. You don't have to. We, the older generation, are waiting for you to ask for help. Don't try to do it alone. Thank you for being brave. You're beautiful, and we see you.
You were very emotional and in tears. Can you tell me what it's about?
I guess it was just that overwhelming feeling of, I mean, the words that were spoken were very heavy, and they carried a lot lot of hope. So I don't necessarily think I was crying sad tears per se, but it was more so joyful. I guess just the emotions of it all, because as I said, like, this is lived experiences we're talking about. This isn't just theory or like institutional work. Like, this is literally, we're just young girls going to school and having a very difficult time of the circumstances we can't necessarily control.
What have you learned today from Gloria?
I'm not alone. And I really do, like, I believe a woman, Jennifer Tosh, she said in the crowd that there's a generation and generations and generations behind us that paved the way for us to even be able to, you know, speak as freely as we do, like, which I realized did not exist in the classroom space before. So it's kind of like also being more appreciative of the circumstances in which I'm actually able to speak, even though that is in itself is still a struggle. It's still like, you know what, I got like, they're almost like ancestors even to look back on and realize that I'm not alone, and there's a reason why I'm able to speak here, you know?
I'd like to know, what did you think of it?
Well, it was a very interesting event for a couple of reasons. First of all, I know Gloria Wekker in the family a little bit, pretty well. I know her work, I know the white innocence work, I know her opinions, her ideology. And I can't say I don't agree with everything, but I'm very, one of the very few, maybe white people who try to endeavor, try to understand her philosophies.
I understand, but what are your ideas about racism and colonialism?
Oh, let's do it another time, because this is such a huge subject. Well, I'm not a victim of colonialism, but being that old, I think that it's a pretty good period to experience also the way of decolonization. And that's well, I'm privileged that I can not participate, but I can observe.
What did you think of it?
It was very inspiring. I'm very glad I came. I didn't know at first, didn't know what to expect, but then I'm so glad I came. Today, when I experienced Gloria Wekker speaking and also the students that she spoke with, I found it a very inspiring thing to see, and also because I mean, the experience that these ladies were talking about, the students were talking about, is also experience that I had when I was studying. So it was nice to see how they are experiencing everything, but also the boldness and also the questions that they had was something that I could recognize. It was also questions that I have still, and it was nice to see the response of the old generation towards the younger generation. So it was inspiring.
Yeah. And you said you were listening to them experience the same, and don't you think it's shameful that continuously you have to struggle with these things?
Of course. And I also, for me, it's also that, you know, the questions about when will it end and will it ever end, and I mean, yes, it is very shameful, and I hope that just like they said tonight, that the younger generation picks up I don't know how you can say it in English, but keeps continuing with the battle.
What are the differences about racism in the US and the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think there are a lot. I think the fundamental principles of racism exist in both places. I think one of the big differences I see is how it's felt. I think one of the things about America is we don't have socialism the way Netherlands does. And so what socialism gives is that safety net of financial security to some extent. I know it's not perfect, but when you don't have that in place, I think a lot of the same racist principles that exist, you fall a lot harder when there's no safety net back home. Back home, we scream and shout, whether we're listened to or not is different, but we do have more of an empowerment of speaking to it. So I think felt very differently. I think experienced very differently because of the culture, so I don't take that away from back home. I feel it less day to day here because it is hidden. So I think that's how I would view it.
Just to make it even related to the conversations and everything today, I feel like events like this that bring people together. I feel like in the U.S. as more events happen and people can get together, change will happen, and yeah, I'm just optimistic for the future.
So an optimistic future.
Yeah.
And how do you contribute?
How do I contribute? So
Yes.
I am the co-founder of an organization called Simple X. We're based in Portland, Oregon. Our goal is to connect Black professionals to the workforce. We do that by hosting events, panels. We get people together, have inspirational talks like we have today. But we also will host career fairs so that people can have access to opportunities and jobs. So that's the best way that I can contribute, and I'm happy to be here and involving myself today. Shout out to Kimo. I was helping him today as my brother, so that's how I can be here.
Well, it was a joint effort. There was very much needs that were presented by OMEK itself, but also the team that we assembled was a team that already had previously worked on another production. And so the dynamics and the synergies that we have already as a team, they were already there. So it was more about aligning. What was the main idea? Talk about the past, the present, and the future. And I think we've managed to do a great job.
Okay.
But something that really captivated and touched me very deeply was when we had one of the speakers, or someone that was moderating the talk, saying that warriors need rest too. And today we had a group of warriors here that not only they created a platform, and right now we are celebrating that advancement. So
beautiful.
That is something that really got me, and let's see what the future holds for all of us.
The OMEK team, and they are the organizers of this beautiful cultural event. And why is it so important to organize such an event for not older people like me, but for the older people? What is the message that you want to bring?
Sandra. Yes. Sandra, open it.
All right. For the young people, I'm pretty young myself, so but I think it's important because all the generations that just have gone through a lot and they have figured out their way. So getting that knowledge can only help us navigate life even better, and then build upon what they're doing. So I think this intergenerational conversation is essential for the next generation to just build their own ways of navigating the society we are in now. Because it evolves now, right? With the digital world and everything, there are new codes and everything happening. So just learn from our elders and bring that knowledge to this modern world and to build new paths for the future. Past, present, future.
Yeah, talk about the team. Like, so if you believe in this idea, join us. If you don't, then fine. We're moving forward. But you can't create a change without leading the way. So bicultural for African descent, younger generation, they need to realize they have to create the change. Nobody's coming to save us, like I used to say. So the sooner we can figure out how to come together and then create a space where we can empower ourselves, and then to leverage and harness all the talent, skill, resources, network access that we have. The sooner we realize that, the faster we'll go. And so that's the space. And anybody that actually believe in that, it doesn't matter if you're a person of African descent, it doesn't matter if you're a person of Asian descent or European descent, it really doesn't matter. If you believe in that idea, then we'll call you like friends and family. I wonder what you think, Kes. Plus one to that.
you so much.